Welcome to the Maritime Executives podcast series, In the Know. I'm Tony Munoz, Editor-in-Chief. Our Executive Corner podcast will provide conversations with top executives concerning events and issues that are shaping our industry today.
Hello, I'm Audrey Mejia, Assistant Editor at the Maritime Executive Magazine, and on this episode of In the Know, we'll listen in on President and CEO Jason Montague as he and Editor-in-Chief Tony Munoz touch base on the anticipated restart of luxury cruising. Listen in.
Good day, I'm Tony Munoz, Editor-in-Chief of the Maritime Executive. With us today, we have Jason Montague, President, CEO of Regent 7 Seas. Welcome today, Jason.
Tony, I'm thrilled. Thanks for having.
Jason, tell us, what is the difficulty in restarting the cruise line operations today in this environment?
We've taken a phased approach to how we're restarting operations. So our first ship is 7 Seas Splendor that's coming back in September, right now scheduled from Southampton. And then our second ship will be the 7 Seas Explorer, who's set to go from Italy in October. And then we're taking the Mariner out of 7 Seas Mariner out of Miami in December as she gets ready for her world cruise, which starts in January from the West Coast. Navigator will be our fourth ship back in January from Miami as well. And then finally, Voyager will be the last ship back. She'll be back mid-February in Europe to start an early European season in 22.
Tell us, what are some of the challenges restarting personnel, the ships, bringing it all together to meet your first sailing?
It's a very complicated process that we're very fortunate. We have an amazing team across the world to help us get this in place. But we've been engaging with our crew throughout this entire aspect. We've had great indications on the overall aspect of crew that are ready and really want to come back. So we're excited from that standpoint. We're already starting to get the Splendor crewed and ready because we're requiring 100% vaccination, not just of our guests, but of our crew as well too. So logistically, we have to plan out how to make sure we can get everyone vaccinated in time for that 14-day window to pass, and the entire crew is in that fully vaccinated bucket as well too. So it's a complex process, but we've been planning for this for a while.
Is there an advantage of having smaller ships with less people on them over your competitors? Does that provide you with an advantage in the marketplace?
Yeah, look, I think our size of our ships are perfect for where we are in today's market. So we came out with launched a program called Unrivaled Space at Sea, because we do have some of the highest space ratios in the industry for our entire fleet. When you have among the highest space ratios, and then you also have reduced capacity, because we're going to go out with reduced capacities to start, making sure we have and maintain that social distancing from the beginning, even despite the fact that we have 100% vaccinated guests and crew on board. We're still going to start off slowly and prudently as we move forward. But without a doubt, our ship size is a great advantage right now. So we're in a pretty good place.
Yeah. Jason, have the ports been proactive in helping you restart operations throughout the world?
Yeah, we have tremendous partners across the world, and they're critical in this process of helping us navigate all the specific requirements that happen in each area. And they're also been very supportive on, anything from vaccinations, making sure that we have everything set to we can get our crew vaccinated. So there's so many aspects of how they've come up and helped partner with us to get ready for this, and we couldn't be more thankful. They've been fantastic. Traditional year, we hit over 450 ports across the world. Now, obviously, we're operating in a much more focused manner as we go back, so we're not going to come close to that number of ports at the moment. But it's a complex process. So it's something that when we communicate to our guests and travel partners that we're going to provide them updated information, but it's difficult to provide them clear indications exactly how we're going to operate, because we have to be nimble and make sure that we're meeting all the requirements as we get much closer to sailing. So we're on top of it, but we just have to make sure that we keep the communication paths open and we realize that things may change as we get closer. It's an evolving situation, Tony, and it's our biggest challenge right now because things change so rapidly. The Delta variant right now is obviously making things more complex than it was even 3-4 weeks ago. So it's something that we have to be nimble and we just have to work with. But it can vary from port to port, country to country.
Jason, do you have a projected start date to get operations up and moving?
So we do our first test/preview cruise on 7 Seas Splendor on September 6th in Southampton.
Can you tell us more about the Sail Safe program, health and safety program, initiated by Norwegian and by the whole operation, including Regent's 7 Seas?
Our Sail Safe program is headed by a global council we created, which is chaired by Dr. Scott Gottlieb. We have outstanding team members on, and we met with them on a regular basis to always keep focus of our top priority, which is always the safety of our guests, the crew, and the communities we visit. And that's why we've been steadfast on the 100% vaccination. But it goes through all aspects of our return to sail and how we're making sure we're keeping our guests, crew, and the communities we visit safe. Everything from the check-in process to new air filters throughout, to having a dedicated chief medical officer on board the ships. We're going to be operating in a great situation when we look at how we're doing this. And we are going to be among the safest ways to travel because of all the protocols. We're not focused on trying to maximize our profits as we come out of this. We're focused on doing it the right way.
Right.
We're in this on a long-term basis. So we want to make sure we do everything possible to provide our guests and the crew that are working on the ships that safest environment possible. So we think we're in a good place as we move forward. Again, as I mentioned before, when we were talking about ports and the different destinations, we just have to be focused on how things evolve and change. Because anything we learned over the last year and a half, things change and evolve quickly sometimes. And so we recognize that, and part of our program is about that, being focused on making sure we're taking in real-time data and modifying any one of our aspects that we need to modify to keep that biggest priority of ours of keeping the guests and the crew safe.
Jason, I was very impressed with the Grandeur, 7 Seas Grandeur video that you produced. Tell me about the vessel, and is it on schedule for 2023?
November of 23. We're still on track for that. She's a sister ship to 7 Seas Explorer and 7 Seas Splendor. But as we did with Splendor versus Explorer, she's going to have certain nuances that are specific to Grandeur. And in that video, we introduced our reimagined Compass Rose. Compass Rose is the heart of our ship. It's the main dining room. I hate calling it the main dining room, to be honest with you, because it really is the largest specialty restaurant at sea. It's got over 400 seats, and we truly allow guests to customize what they want to have for dinner any given night. And there's nothing like this in the world for that large of a restaurant. But really excited about the redesign. And it's what we try to do with each ship. We try to take it up another level. So, the amazing part here is, so we're talking about Grandeur, and 7 Seas Splendor has only had one full revenue sailing since she launched. So it's like we're launching a brand new ship with 7 Seas Splendor in September too. So it's great that I get to talk about these two new ships at the same time, because Splendor is basically a new ship as well. The 22 World Cruise is a unique one because it's not going all the way around the world like traditional. It really is focused on going from the west coast of the U.S. up through Hawaii into Tahiti, over to Australia, New Zealand, and then over into Asia, and then back around down and back over to the west coast. We're excited from that standpoint. The World Cruise we launched in 23 is a more traditional World Cruise, just like the one we just launched last week for 24. The one we launched in 24 is 132 days traveling from Miami. And that World Cruise sold out in 2.5 hours. I couldn't be more proud of the team's preparation and how we launched the World Cruise to sell out. It wasn't just all past guests who booked the World Cruise when we launched. We had a good amount of first-time Regent guests who booked it as well too. So there's demand. There's a demand across the board. And again, as it goes to what you were talking about in the beginning about the size of our ships, I think we're in a perfect space right now with the size of our ships, the service levels, the personalized service levels that we do, the destinations. People have been cooped up in their homes for a very long time, not being able to meet with somebody. And so when we go out and really help educate people that the safety of the guest and crew is always first and paramount for us, then you couple it with our amazing destinations, our amazing ships, and our outstanding staff, which is obviously the key. Staff is always the key. They're the heart and soul of the Regent brand. It's a winning formula.
It's been a really rough time for the cruise industry and the maritime industry, dealing with COVID through this past year. And so, do you have any final thoughts that you can share with us?
Couldn't be more excited about the future and how robust it looks, particularly in the luxury space. And guests really wanted to go out and experience the world. And that's what we do. Our focus at Regent is to deliver that unrivaled experience you mentioned at the beginning. So everything we do from that very first phone call all the way to our guest gets home is how we focus on delivering that experience for our guests. So couldn't be more excited as we move forward.
Jason, President and CEO of Regent 7 Sea Cruise Lines, thank you for taking your time today. We look forward to hearing more about the operations, and best of luck on the 7 Seas. Thank you.
I appreciate it very much. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to In the Know, the Maritime Executive Podcast. We hope you'll join us again for our next exciting industry discussion. In the meantime, you can visit us at maritime-executive.com for top news on critical maritime issues.